Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.
God, the kids in this dorm need Fashion 101 in a big way. Or we could start right here at home.
I'm not making a statement. I just want to get back to my place, figure out why we got out of our cages.
You have a cage?
Don't you?
Yeah, it has a little wheel with a plastic ball and a cute little bell in it. God, somebody's domesticated the hell out of you.
It's my choice. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Maybe. Or maybe you just don't want to admit what happened to you. Maybe you just want to pretend like you're a regular guy.
Well, I am. I'm only a wolf 3 nights a month.
Or you're the wolf all the time, and this human face is just your disguise. You ever think about that, Oz?
I'm going. I gotta check the papers, see if we did any damage last night.
Oh, we did. But only to each other.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We're just two boys watching every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the first time, giving our review, our reaction. We're your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we are talking about Season 4, Episode 6, Wild at Heart, directed by David Grossman, written by Marty Noxon. Original air date, November 9th, 1999, to an audience of 6.5 million people. Quite a big jump up in the ratings from last one. And I think our predictions were pretty spot on this one. I don't know who said what, but I'm pretty certain that our predictions were pretty accurate for this.
Yeah, we were pretty accurate. It was, we knew it was going to be about Oz and the werewolf connection.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. But before we get into the episode, we've got a couple of mother freaking shout-outs. Shout-outs.
Shout it out.
We got our first, so we've been having this inside joke about the Spotify reviews and screenshotting them and DMing me about them. And we finally got our first one from our Discord moderator, who is a super awesome dude named Elias. Elias gave us our first Spotify 5-star. I don't know if it's the first one, but it's the first one that I've gotten a screenshot thing of. So Elias, thank you so much for that lovely, lovely Spotify 5-star rating or review. I'm not quite sure how Spotify works, to be honest with you. I don't really use Spotify.
And I definitely want to give a shout out too. We've gotten a lot of those Spotify top 5.
Yeah, the Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah. And we just want to give a shout out to everyone that has shared those with us on Instagram and that we've seen shared on Discord. We really appreciate it. It's an honor to be in your top 5 podcast listing.
Yeah, it's really awesome and really kind of humbling to see, like, we're on a couple of people's like top 5 podcast list. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. And now we have a very intense shout out here because so we got a review from a listener named Sanity Sam, and I have to give him a shout out. I think I accurately counted the number of shushes that they left in their review. I kind of ran out of breath a little bit. But Sanity Sam, thank you for the review on the podcast. Really appreciate that. All the way from Canada. So there we go, everybody.
Yeah, you set something up with that, the shout outs, and now
yeah, Sanity Sam left a specific number of shushes that they wanted to see in the shout out. So I did my best, Sanity Sam. I hope that works for you. But
I wonder if this is going to happen more now.
Just like requesting the amount of shushes. We shall certainly see.
Maybe you only give it to the first one that requests it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
We're gonna test my lung capacity with this. If you hear a shout out where I'm like, all right, we gotta give a shout out to.
We'll be like, skip to 6 minutes in to skip over all the shout outs.
Yeah. But anyway, before we get into this episode, though, too, I got to note something about this episode here, Vance.
Oh, boy. This is never good.
There are a lot of fashion atrocities happening in this episode.
Yeah.
Atrocities. Like, all throughout. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's just the one thing. No, they just keep dinging me in the face with these fucking terrible fashion choices. Whoever was the costume person for this episode needs to fuck all the way off.
They call out the fashion at one point, too, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got somebody coming for my job again.
Yeah.
But, geez, real bad stuff in this episode. But without further ado, let us get into Wild at Heart, huh, Vance?
Let's do it.
All right, so episode starts off with Buffy sprinting across campus. A vampire is chasing her, and she's running, she's booking it until she gets to like a private dark area, and she's like, okay, good. Now that I got you here where nobody can see, I can finally kill you because I perform better without an audience. And then they start fighting. And she keeps doing all these puns while she's fighting the vampire. She stakes him in the heart, and it's like, oh, I hope this doesn't give you heartburn. And then the vampire looks at her, and he's like, what? And then he turns to dust, and she's like, nobody appreciates my well-thought-out puns.
There's a lot to take from this scene. One, she's running on campus from what appears to be just a guy in full sprint. Mm-hmm. No one is concerned about this.
Yeah, even if it's just a regular guy, you see a woman running from a guy.
Yeah.
You might be like, hey, what the hell's going on?
And it wasn't like a fun, like playful quad chase, you know? It was dead sprint, running for my life running.
It was scary.
And then when she's talking about the heartburn pun, she's like, oh, I put painstaking effort into this. And she didn't realize that the painstaking pun was right there too. That's all.
And then she has a moment to herself. She's like, man, I need to start killing some higher quality vampires. These vampires are all boring and they're not appreciating my jokes. And then from the rooftop, Spike is watching on. And he's like, oh, be careful what you wish for, young lady, because the big bad is back in town. And just as he finishes that, he gets zapped by the gun guys. Mm-hmm. He gets freaking tased, and he's like, and falls, and then they take him. And I was like, oh, man.
I was like, okay, maybe we get this whole wrap up here. And we don't. Spoiler alert, we don't see them again. Or we don't see Spike again.
Yeah, I was like, oh, shit, Spike is back. When he first showed up and he's like, I'm the big bad. I was like, yes, this is going to be a fun episode. And then he gets zapped immediately, which is like pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
he's done a lot of monologuing this season. And
from rooftops.
Yeah.
A lot of monologuing from rooftops, like he did in that one episode of Angel, which I forgot to mention. We got our Angel Patreon. Mm-hmm. You can subscribe to that. Hear our reviews of Angel.
This week's Angel episode is going to be pretty interesting to hear about. Oh, yeah. I got some thoughts.
It's certainly something.
Yeah.
But then the whole gang is hanging out at the Bronze, and it's Xander, Willow, Buffy, and Oz, and they're like, man, this is cool. We're at the Bronze again. You know, what? It feels cool to be back at the Bronze. And they're like, is it lame that we're at the Bronze because we're in college now? And they're like, no, it's like a cool little like safety, comfortable blanket. Like we got to go to the Bronze, you know, a little taste of home that's only 5 miles away.
So they're so far away from home.
And this is where fashion atrocity number 1 occurs. Xander is wearing that terrible, terrible ruffly shirt again with the inside ruffle, like trash baggy, terrible shirt. Why bring that one back?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I'll say I wasn't paying attention that hard to the fashion in a lot of this. But if that shirt's back, that is a bad shirt.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're on the same page as this, because this is awful. Like that. I get that he's like supposed to be bumming it out and stuff and like living in his basement, but that shirt.
No, that's his going out shirt now.
I know, and that shirt needs to burn. It needs to burn. But while they're all hanging and talking about like, hey, it's so nice to be back here. This is our like home base kind of. Giles shows up. He's like, oh, hello, children. How are you? We got some room for old Giles here? And then everyone's looking like, what the fuck is the old man doing here? And he's like, what? I'm cool. I'm hip. I can hang with you guys, right? And they're like, yeah, okay, Giles. I mean, I don't know if you understand what the cool kids are doing. And Giles is like, I'm cool. I know music. I'm the Ripper. And Oz sticks up for him. He's like, no, Giles is actually pretty cool. I've seen his record collection. Yeah. And so there's
a line that Xander has where he's like, oh yeah, I feel at home here too. And Xander's like, isn't home that empty place you're trying to escape? And it is one of the biggest digs. And I thought we'd have more of the Giles trying to fit in, being completely bored in this episode. But we don't really get all of it.
Yeah, we only get a little bit of it. I think maybe it'll come into play later where Giles is like up their asses or something.
He's got to get a job at the school or something. The dude's...
I know.
Got to know. And you know what's crazy? We are... How many episodes into this? 6?
6.
And him not being a watcher hasn't played a factor yet.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
He's still got all the books.
It's got to be coming up.
Like, yeah, there's got to be some kind of consequences that where like he has a gap in knowledge now. Like he doesn't have the updated files.
And
or
that
whatever.
Buffy just quit the Watcher Council.
Yeah, you can just do that.
You can just do that. And they're like
there's no consequences.
Not yet.
Unreal.
And I don't think these gun people are part of the Watchers.
I mean, if they were, wouldn't they be coming after Buffy instead of the vampires?
It didn't seem like the Watchers were people that helped the Slayer.
I know that in our season 3 recap, I predicted that in college it was going to be like warring gangs of like how to deal with the vampires. Mm-hmm. Maybe the gun guys are like a secret militia that like knows about vampires and they're taking them out in their own way and maybe doing experiments on them or something.
Yeah. Who knows?
But at the Bronze, Veruca's band is playing there again, Shy, and they're playing. And, you know, I fucking Shazammed the song that they were playing because I was like, is this a real band? I wonder if you could like look up what this song is. And I Shazammed it 5 times because I didn't believe what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. The name of the song that they're playing is called Shand Sitar by someone named Kumar Sanu. And when I saw the picture of who Kumar Sanu is, it is a man, number one. So it doesn't make any sense that Veruca would be singing this. Mm-hmm. And he is very, very, very Middle Eastern looking. So I don't know if there's an error in Shazam or something. Because I was like, this can't be it. So I Shazammed it 5 more times. And one time I got a different band. It was a band called THC. And the song was called Need to Destroy. But the other 4 times it was Kumar Sanu, Shand Sitar.
So the band is THC. We had a listener that follows us on our Instagram that messaged not too long ago about a post from last week's episode of Veruca on the stage. And the post reads, the actual band behind Shy is called THC. I think they only released 1 album. This song is their best, Over Fire. And that's the song from last week's episode when she was singing to Oz.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. Thank you, Luke O'Byrne.
Yeah, like I was looking at it and I was like, how can it be this Shand Sitar song? Like it cannot be this, but it came up 5 times. So I was like, how the hell is this real? But yeah, so Veruca's playing again. She and Oz commence their eye fucking. And Willow is very uncomfortable. She's doing the whole back and forth thing, like, what's going on here? And Buffy's even like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Even the guys are like in a trance, and that's when it got me a little like.
Yeah, like Willow asks Oz, like, I mean, what's up with this song? Like, this band is nothing really special. And Oz is like, yeah, I mean, they're okay. And then Giles is like, you're wrong there, Oz. She's got great stage presence. She is really fucking awesome. And Xander's just staring at her. And the song that they're singing, the lyrics, the one that I wrote down, it just kept repeating, dip a finger in me. And I was like, geez.
Yeah.
But yeah, the girls are concerned. Giles liked her. Oz is still like in a trance by her. Mm-hmm. So then it's the next day, and Oz and Willow wake up together, and Willow's dreaming about something, sandblaster or some shit.
Yeah.
And, they have some kind of banter about the dream. And you can tell that Willow's feeling a little insecure about the whole Veruca situation. And she's like, what do you want to do tonight? You want to do something tonight? And Oz is like, kind of can't tonight. It's the first night of the full moon. Mm-hmm. And Willow's like, oh, shit. That's already happening. Okay, well, I'm meeting up with this Wicca group anyway, which is another thing that I kind of predicted at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
So she's meeting up with this Wicca group. Oz is going to have to cage himself up because he's turning werewolfy. And they're going to have to be separated. And he's upset about it. She's sad about it. But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, I mean, at first it's like, oh, he's like, I'm going to miss you. I miss 3 nights without you. And then I was like, wait, you still got the day.
Yeah, right?
It's college. You guys like got a lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, they have classes, I guess, but I mean, the sun sets in Sunnydale at like 4 p.m. apparently. Like,
well, it sets now like 4 p.m.
That's true. But yeah, so then we cut to a scene, and this is fashion faux pas number 2. Buffy she's leaving psychology class, and she got a really good grade on some test. And she has this silly looking bandana on. It's not big enough for her head. It barely like covers her, and like her hair's, it looks so dumb.
I noticed this, and I was wondering, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be Jill's like, oh, I like this or I don't like this. I never know what you sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so I pull out some wild cards every once in a while, but like this bandana, I was like, absolutely not. Yeah, not on my watch.
I was like, this is a Joe's Fashion Corner. I just don't know which way.
It's like floral bandana. Mm-hmm. It's too small for her head. And she's wearing it like a cami and like a long skirt.
It's like people pull that look off a lot. But it's like they kind of just winged it with her, or like they were covering up a hairdo or something.
Yeah, like people will wear it on like if you go to urbanoutfitters.com, somebody will be wearing like a bandana like that, and they'll be like, oh, cool. But you'd never see anyone out like that unless you were at like a commune or something, and you like everyone's sharing toilets. But anyway, Buffy did really well on a test. Willow sees it and she's jealous, and Buffy has been asked by Professor Walsh to lead a discussion group next class. And Willow's like, now I'm very jealous. You did better than me. And Willow's like, I mean, that's cool, but, I'm jealous. But anyway. And Buffy is like, well, I feel like I've earned, like, I shouldn't have to do this discussion group. Like, this is like... I should get a prize. I should have to do less work because I did so well.
Yeah.
And this is like that old phrase, like the prize for winning the pie eating competition is more pie. Mm-hmm. And Buffy's like, fuck. Yeah. I did so well that I've earned myself more work.
But she's got to team up with the TA.
Yep. So Buffy is like, they're walking through the halls, and Willow's like, well, let me go buy you a cookie. I'm meeting up with Oz at the cafe. I'll buy you that cookie. And Buffy's like, I gotta go meet up with the TA to talk about this discussion group, but I'll catch up with you in a second. Mm-hmm. So then we go to what Oz is doing, and Oz is just walking around campus, head in the clouds, and then he turns and he sees Veruca, who is sitting alone, and she's eating a giant sandwich.
It looks like a giant burger that's dry and fries.
Yeah.
And it looks like she took it has the random 1 or 2 bites out of it.
Yeah. And Oz turns his head and he's like, huh? Veruca's here, huh? And he walks up to her, he's like, hey, you look like you're hungry, huh? And she's like, yeah, so what? Girl can't eat a burger. I'm not like one of those girls that's like, oh, I'll have a salad. I'm a pick-me girl. It's just like, okay. All right, Veruca.
Yeah.
And so Oz sits down with her and they're, chatting it up. And they start talking about amps, what kind of guitar amps they should use. Mm-hmm. And then Willow is walking by and fashion faux pas number 3. And even Willow calls this out. So Willow's wearing this shirt that has not matching sleeves to what's on the torso of the shirt. It's like an oil. Sleeves. No, the sleeves are pink with cherries on them. And the torso of the shirt is like this weird psychedelic oil painting looking thing. And it's like so many different colors. She's wearing a ground length denim skirt, which is like the fucking uniform of homeschooled children. And her shoes are these hideous brown and orange hiking trail boots. And she's got olive green socks on. And it is absolutely atrocious. Of all of Xander's shirt is up there in the worst outfits that I've seen, but this is just so hideous and not matching and gross. It hurt me.
Yeah, I was just so focused on that burger that was never going to get eaten and the fries. And this is a good time to bring up that we did a Patreon exclusive of the menu.
Of the menu, yes.
Which is a foodie satire comedy,
dark
thriller,
comedy,
horror. It's really, really good.
Yeah, you can hear our full breakdown of that. It's like an hour and 45 minutes long, I think, of us breaking down the movie. It's very interesting.
Yeah, go see the movie, go check it out, and then check out our podcast if you care to hear more of us.
Boys Watching Movies.
Yeah.
So Willow sees Oz and Veruca getting along and she gets jealous. She's like, oh no, they're together again. So she goes and sits down and, they're still talking about guitar amps, and Willow has some kind of misunderstanding about the amps, and then Oz does this very condescending oh honey, no, we're talking about guitar amps, pats her head.
Yeah, it was something about and an Elvis tie-in, and she tried.
Yeah,
and Willow's trying so hard to try to fit into this conversation. But even before this starts, even before Oz gets there, he sees Veruca and she looks up at him. He's like, I'm meeting Willow. He's like, we can't be seen together. He's already feels like he's been cheating on her already.
Yeah. So Willow then feels bad that she doesn't understand what they're talking about. And then there's just this weird, awkward silence. Veruca's like, oh, you're a big Elvis fan? She's like, yeah, I like Elvis and the Dingoes. Those are my favorite things. And then there's this weird, awkward silence. And then Oz is just like, all right, well, I'm leaving.
That was the weirdest moment right there, is that he decided to leave the two of them together. That wasn't it wasn't like a, hey, let's both get out of here situation.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, good to see you, Veruca. We're going to go to the cafe and get a snack. Because he's got food or something. Mm-hmm. Veruca has food. And Willow has nothing.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to meet at the cafe or something, right? Get up, go, relocate. But him leaving is so awkward.
Yeah. And then fucking Willow's just left there with Veruca, and they kind of stare at each other for half a second. Mm-hmm. And then Veruca's like, I'm going to go too. This is weird. Yeah. So she leaves. Buffy starts walking over. She's like, oh, dang, I missed everybody. Is it me? And Willow's like, no.
Why did he not like me? What's wrong with me? Buffy's insecurities are popping back out.
But Willow's like, no, they're leaving because they were talking amps and I don't speak music keys and I'm jealous and I'm feeling insecure. Like, and Buffy's like, it's not a big deal. And Willow's like, no, he's getting this like weird, like blushing behind the ears that he only gets with me. And now he's getting it with Veruca. And I think that he's into Veruca. And Buffy's like, so what? Aren't you into other guys? And Willow's like, I mean, yeah, sometimes. I mean,
we get a lot of role reversals in this episode. Like, when Buffy's like, I think someone's jealous. Parker looked at another girl. And Willow has to like be like, no, it's fine. I think Angel likes Faith. It's like, no, it's fine. Like, all the time. And
I think Oz likes Veruca. No, it's fine.
Yeah. like this is like, it's a lot different than like, oh, he likes a celebrity that he doesn't hang out with versus he likes a girl that's in a band that he's also plays with sometimes. Like it's a lot more intimate.
Yeah, there's more risk there.
Yeah, it's not like a celebrity crush or something.
Yeah. But Buffy like reassures Willow, like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. You know, he loves you. And Willow's like, I know, but I still feel weird. Buffy's like, yeah.
Why did she turn into Kermit the Frog?
I still feel weird. So then Oz is walking to his cage that
we got to talk about this thing.
This cage.
When did they build this?
I don't know. It looks like it's in like a mausoleum or like a tomb or something.
It is. It's in a cemetery. It's like it's like one of those ones that we see Buffy go into to find like an ancient relic every few episodes. But it's got a key code.
Yeah.
It locks.
He installed like a key code thing, and like the cage itself is like very ornate. And like goth, like it looks like Guillermo del Toro fucking built it.
And he's got a key code in it. It locks as soon as you close it. There's no like having to close it and lock it. It just locks behind itself. And yeah. Okay. I don't know if this is the best place for that.
Yeah, and also like there's so many gaps in the cage. Like, why would you make it like that? Like, I just, it's crazy.
Also, should it be like in a warehouse? Should it be chained? I guess not being chained must be nicer for the werewolf itself.
Fair, yeah. Well, not really, because Oz locks himself in there, and then
so dumb. Yeah,
he locks himself in there. This must be the first time they're utilizing this, because he gets in there. The sun sets, turns into a werewolf, and then immediately breaks out.
Yeah.
Now, fashion corner moment here. This werewolf looks 100 million times better than... It looks better than the werewolves we've been seeing, but not as good as the first time Oz turned into a werewolf.
Yeah. It's a little better. But I will say this. They look great when they're werewolf in between stages.
Yeah. When they're changing.
Yeah. This, I'm still not fully. Yeah.
It's better than the brown and like
white face
skin color. Yeah. Like it's gray at least at this point. They still are like little monkey men.
Which we get coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. So Oz breaks out and Professor Maggie Walsh is locking up. She's walking home from her classroom, and she's walking next to this bush, and she sees some rustling in the bush. She's like, hello? Nothing. So she keeps walking. The rustling continues. It's like following her. And she's like, hello? Who are you? And then a werewolf jumps out, and it's Oz, and he's like, rah, 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 rah. And Maggie Walsh is like, oh, son of a bitch, what the fuck is this? And she starts running away from Oz in the opposite direction. But she gets cut off by, dun, 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 a second werewolf. Who is like, and then Maggie Walsh does the whole fucking the werewolf, she somehow escapes both of the werewolves, and then the werewolves start attacking each other.
Well, one's in front, one's in the back. They run at her. She dives out of the way, and they collide.
Yeah, and then they start fighting each other. Or are they fighting?
And she looks out of the bushes like, I have to look at this.
Yeah.
Now I'll run away.
Yeah. She gets a good look.
Yeah.
And she's watching the werewolves either fight or fuck. Which we'll get to. So yeah.
Why can't it be both?
Right? They have some violent fucking. Because Oz wakes up the next day, the sun's out, he's in the middle of nowhere, he's naked as he always is when he comes back from Werewolf Town. And who's he next to? Veruca. She's cuddled up next to him.
The biggest surprise for no one ever.
And she's all naked and she's like cuddling up on him. She's like, morning, sweetheart. And Oz is like, what? What the hell? He's got scratches all over him. Yeah. And she's like, oh, you mustn't have been a werewolf for very long. What a crazy night we had last night, huh? And Oz is like, I don't remember anything. And she's like, maybe a little bit of this will start to jog your memory. And she starts like feeling up on him. And he's like, no, I don't want to be doing this.
It led to the question of, when she's a werewolf, can she remember being a werewolf? And can she control what she does as a werewolf?
It seems like she can at least remember, because she's like, I can remember little bits and pieces. And it seems like she's like, I've been a werewolf longer. You'll get used to this type of deal.
Yeah. But I don't know if she can control her animal basis instinct.
Yeah. Or I think that she can, because like in the next scene, they start to do laundry. And this is where Veruca calls out like, man, the fashion of these motherfucking people are terrible.
Oh, I meant to say that she called... They said that Willow's shirt made her look like a birthday cake or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Willow calls out her. She's like, I shouldn't have worn this. This looks so stupid. Yeah. And I was like, you're right, Willow. But yeah, Oz and Veruca are now like stealing laundry from the laundry room because they're naked. And she's like, man, these people, they need to fucking get better fashion. But they get into this conversation about Veruca's basically telling Oz that him as a werewolf is his natural state, and he's putting on this whole thing of like, I'm a regular person and it's fake. And he's like, I'm only a werewolf 3 nights out of the month. And Veruca's like, are you? Or are you just a normal person for 27 days out of the month?
And this is immediately where she lost me.
Yeah. And she's trying to convince Oz, like, you got to be wild. You got to just let yourself free. You're so domesticated. Why are you caging yourself up? And Oz is like, because I could fucking kill somebody.
Yeah.
And Veruca's like, who gives a shit about that? Don't you want to kill people? And he's like, no.
And I was like, oh, Veruca, you lost me again.
Yeah.
You're not making any type of argument. Like, I thought maybe there'd be like a whole new like werewolf society.
Yeah.
That they're like, it seems like she hasn't seen another werewolf in forever.
Well, yeah, because she was talking about how like she sensed him from this moment they laid eyes on each other. Like they knew that they were destined to be werewolf lovers together. And don't you remember us fucking all night long? And Oz is like, no, I wouldn't. I couldn't. I black out when I'm a werewolf.
Yeah.
And he's like, that'll change.
Yeah.
And then she starts to like come on to him again. And it looks like she starts grabbing his dick, like off screen. She's like, maybe this will jog your memory. And Oz is like sitting there kind of like, wait a minute. Wait. No. And I thought that when this is happening, like Willow was going to walk in.
Oh, she walks in at a much better time.
Yeah.
I wish she could have had a couple of compelling arguments, even though she's wrong, but she's not really saying anything that's going to sway like the fact, it's like being blackout drunk all the time and just not knowing what you do. Like you might like drinking, but you don't want to be blacked out and then have those moments where you're like, I don't know what I've done, you know?
Yeah.
And that seems like that's what happened, and you're liable to kill people.
Like you're more powerful and have these animalistic instincts of like, I'm going to kill something.
Mm-hmm. And like, isn't she worried she might kill her bandmates? Like, she's on campus. Why haven't we seen her running around recently?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where we are in the school year, but it seems like this isn't the first full moon since they've been in college.
I mean, it can't be the full. Isn't a full moon like every month?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Are we 3 months into school right now? What?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah, it just seems... I don't know. It just seems like they could have done... I know they're doing the relationship angle of this, but... Yeah, maybe... Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. So, then it's Buffy, or Professor Walsh is walking around with her TA, Riley, and she's describing what she saw the night before. She's like, I was walking around campus at night, and I swear to God, I saw 2 gigantic wolves fighting each other, and they tried to attack me, but then they started fighting each other, and Riley's like, really? You saw 2 wolves just walking around campus? And Professor Walsh is like, I mean, they were like wolves, but they also kind of seemed like gorillas at a certain point.
So she never says wolves. She says wild dogs. Gorillas, which to me is a comment on these costumes being garbage.
Yeah, they're calling it out.
She's like, it was like wild dogs, or they could have been gorillas or mini Bigfoots. Like she's like anything but a werewolf. Like Riley could have been like, "Are you sure it wasn't a werewolf?" She's like, "Hell no, it wasn't a werewolf.
No,
I know
werewolves
what a
have snouts."
Like. These were abominations.
Costume abominations.
Hell beast.
Hellhound. Something. Anything but a fucking werewolf. But then this is right when Buffy walks up, and Buffy's like, oh, hey, what's up? I got something to ask you about. And Maggie Walsh is like, Buffy, I'm going to tell you this right now. It is not safe to walk around here at night. And I'm sure when Buffy heard that, she's like, oh, shit. She must know about the vampires. No.
The vampires, the demons.
Yeah, Buffy should have said something like, oh, did you see a vampire or something? Because she cannot keep her cool at all. But Maggie Walsh is like, no, I got attacked by like 2 dogs / gorillas / wildebeest / antelope / yetis.
I think it was a wolverine or a honey badger.
And Buffy's like, oh shit, that's weird. There's 2 of them because I only know of 1. I mean, wait.
Wait, this is the first time you've been attacked on campus?
Yeah. So then Oz is like looking through the newspapers in his room, and he's like looking to see if they did any damage, if they killed anybody or if they attacked anything. So he's reading through the newspapers, and Willow shows up to his apartment, and she's dressed all sexy like, it seems like.
Can I just say, the newspapers would not have this printed in time if you just did it last night.
Yeah. Like how, like do they have like 24/7? I mean, in Sunnydale, they might have 24-hour newspapers. Like who knows what's going on? Yeah. They got to be at the ready for anything with any of those neck contusions that people are dying from.
It's already pre-printed out. It's just like, we just need to add the name.
Yeah. But Willow shows up all sexy like.
Well, she's dressing like Veruca.
Yeah, she's dressed kind of gothy. Mm-hmm. And she's like trying to seduce Oz, and she's like, hey there, big boy, what's up, Mr. Man? And Oz is like, oh, hey, what's happening? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, I'm sorry for being weird yesterday. I felt weird about being around Veruca. And I was like, it ain't no thing. And she's like, there's really nothing going on between you and her, right? And I was like, no, of course not. It's just a band thing. We're just musicians, so we have, we talk music and stuff. And Willow's like, okay, well, you want to fuck, by the way? And Oz is like, maybe not right now. And Willow's like, oh, Okay. And I was like, I mean, I was a fucking werewolf last night and I didn't sleep very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that worked for him.
Yeah. I do like appreciate like that Willow's like, oh yeah, you probably wouldn't have slept well last night. You're doing fucking werewolf shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I don't think
this might not be the best time to try and bang me.
I don't think she buys it though. I'm sure she's banged him post werewolf much.
Yeah. But she's all hurt because, you know, he turned her down.
And this episode, he's got a bunch of scars on him still, like slashes.
Yeah.
And when she's pulling up his shirt, like the red marks around his little mini V, his pelvic V is showing. And I was like, oh, is she going to find that? Or is he like, doesn't want her to find it? And he doesn't seem like that's his concern.
No, it seemed like he forgot that he had those. I thought that she was going to like touch them and he would be like, oh. And then she'll be like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh.
Yeah.
I scraped myself on the cage last night. But like that didn't factor in at all.
No. It's just there. Like, I don't know if it's there for the audience to be like, if she did do this, she would find out and he'd have to talk. I'm wondering also why he didn't mention that she's a werewolf. I guess he doesn't want her to go straight to the Slayer and say stab, kill.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense why he wouldn't tell her, but I think that it's because he woke up next to her naked and banged her.
Yeah. It's like, how do you know? And it's like, just trust me.
Here's a question for you.
Got it.
So he and Veruca banged in werewolf form, right?
Oh, I know what you're going for here. Yeah.
Would you consider that cheating on Willow?
No, I technically wouldn't. But in their argument later, they cover some stuff that puts it in a bad light.
I think, yeah. Early on,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this isn't cheating. This is just like some... But then it's also like the argument about being blackout drunk if you cheat on your girlfriend while you're blackout drunk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is cheating if you're blackout drunk. Because he talks about how he feels like he's like blacked out when he's a werewolf.
Yeah. But she later says you also had these feelings a little bit before, too. But Veruca says I'm a werewolf all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, as is with the last episode, or no, not last episode, in 2 episodes ago in Fear Itself, Oz has to do some acting in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does pretty well.
I like that they're letting him. Yeah. I mean, this is his real, like, this is an Oz episode.
Yeah. So now that we've talked this out, I do think it would be considered cheating, but this is a special circumstance where he turns into something that he's not himself. Because ordinarily, he wouldn't kill people either.
Yeah. Like, are those murders on him? You know, like it's the same thing.
Yeah. Well, it's also like if you kill somebody while you're blackout drunk, it is still on you.
It is on you. I don't think the drunk versus
it's
werewolf.
Not a one. Yeah, it's not a 1-to-1.
Like it's your fault for drinking that much. You know, like So that becomes part of the problem. It's not like he drank too much werewolf juice.
I think that this is a tricky, like where we are at right now in the story. This is a tricky scenario. I think that he should have told Willow, like, hey, Veruca's a werewolf, like right now.
I think if he told her right now, then he is free. Like then he can go in with a clearer conscience.
But I guess he does feel bad and he's trying to hide that he cheated on her as a werewolf.
I mean, I think he just got a lot going on. That's a lot. He just figured that out. And she should know something's up because he's wearing somebody else's clothes.
Well, maybe that's just like part of the wearing the... Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe she just doesn't know his whole wardrobe.
It doesn't... Like, he's wearing like a... He's
wearing like a sage...
pullover, like a polo
shirt.
And like baggy khakis or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his clothes.
He's wearing like red sweatpants and a lime green pastel polo shirt.
Yeah, it's like, it's not... Like, you just be like, what's going on?
This is another low-key fashion faux pas. Like, it's not matching. It looks really bad, but
but that's been,
it's excused.
Yeah, and they comment on it when they're getting the laundry. So
yeah. All right. Well, Willow leaves and she's all hurt that Oz doesn't want to fuck her. Anyway. So then we go to Giles's house, and Giles is sitting alone, all bored at his house, and he's watching Jeopardy like 3 inches away from the TV. And
it's like fake Jeopardy too. I was like listening to it. It's like,
yeah, like the tune is like boom, boom, bing, boom, boom, bing, boom, bing.
And the announcer's not Trebek at all.
Yeah. But he gets the question right or whatever. He's like, oh, come on, sod off, you big nincompoop. And then Buffy shows up. And he's like, yeah, Buffy, you got something for me? You got something for me to do? Because I have nothing going on. I have nothing.
Which is so different than what we've seen of him before.
Yeah.
Like, before Buffy comes over, like, what's going on? He's like, man, I got a life.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I have nothing without you guys.
Yeah. Well, it's like, dude, why aren't you banging some other hot lady from England?
Yeah, why aren't you just pulling in the MILFs and the moms and just, sitting around sipping tea at places.
And this is the first time that I think I noticed that it looks like Giles has 2 different colored eyes. He has one blue and one brown, it looks like. He might have that like thing like Max Scherzer has the pitcher for
Kate
the
Bosworth.
Mets.
Yeah,
like the 2 different colored eyes. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Buffy shows up and she's talking to Giles about like, hey, my professor was attacked by 2, what she calls wild dog gorillas. And Giles is like, 2? Well, we only know of 1. And Buffy's like, that's why I'm here talking to you. And Giles is like, well, I'm fucking right on it, dude. I am on it. I have nothing going on. By the way, you want to hang out? Are you leaving already? And Buffy's like, yeah, I'm leaving. I got a life. And Giles is like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, he's like, oh, have you talked to Oz about it? She's like, that's my next stop. And I was like, wait, you just can't. That's a phone call. What you just did to Giles is not a pop-in. It's a TV show pop-in, but that's a phone call. Hey, Giles, there was a report of wild dog beasts. I think we might have werewolves. I'm going to go talk to Oz. That's it. Yeah. Like, that's literally all that is.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like bored Giles. Like, I like that Giles was getting a little bit more characterization as opposed to just like the stern librarian. Like, now he's like a playboy / lonely guy /
I don't know. Once he became Ripper, it opened all kinds of doors.
Yeah, we also got Chainsaw Giles. Like, it's fun.
Chainsaw Giles, Flaming Bat Giles, Tranquilizer Gun Giles, Shot by Tranquilizer Gun Giles.
Knocked out Giles.
Conscious Giles.
So now Willow goes over to Xander's basement apartment, and Xander is like withholding rent from his mom because she won't let him get a lock on the door because she's worried that he's going to start banging people or something.
Too late.
Yep.
Why are they worried about that when they've been letting Anya downstairs?
Dude, he's had like women over a bunch.
Willow just walked down there.
Yeah.
Dressed like she's dressed.
But
I had a question about this scene. Is the actor hurt? Is Xander hurt? It seems like his leg is covered up on the bed, and when he goes to sit up, it's like it's hard for him to move.
Like maybe.
If you watch the scene again, like he's like, all right, talk to me. And he like pushes himself up, but he has like newspapers covering his legs, and you only see like the 1 foot out.
Honestly, what I thought was happening was he was like trying to cover up a boner. Because he was alone.
Yeah, I think his conversation doesn't lend itself to that though. Like, because he's like not. If he was, it'd be more like, yeah, and you hear paper shuffling and stuff. Like they wouldn't downplay it enough. I don't know. It just felt like his legs. I was like, what is going on?
He isn't in the rest of the episode either.
He's in the first scene, but he's sitting at the table.
But he's sitting down.
Yeah. So
maybe he like broke his leg or something.
Hurt his ankle. I don't know. I was just like, why are they hiding?
Yeah, it did feel weird that he was hiding like his lower body.
I just put that out there so our listeners who have seen, who know every trivia fact of the show. I was like, if I try to look this up, I'm going to get something spoiled. So.
Yeah, he may have like broke his femur in like an ATV accident or some shit.
Jeez. I don't think he'd be in the episode if he broke his femur.
But Willow comes down and she's talking to Xander about like, hey, what does it mean if like a girl is trying to seduce a guy and the guy doesn't want to bang her? And Xander's like, cut to the chase, Willow. And Willow's like, I tried to bang Oz earlier and he didn't want to do it. And I think that he has eyes for Veruca. And Xander's like, why don't you just talk to Oz about it? And Willow's like, that's a good idea.
He's pulling a Willow to Buffy.
Yeah.
That's what Willow said to about Angel and Faith situation.
Yep.
Like, she's like, have you talked to him? And she's like, well, I could, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And now they just like made Xander say the same thing to her.
Yeah, she's like, this is guy territory. I asked Buffy about it, but she's a dumb, stupid bimbo. She's hung up on Parker Abrams. What does she know?
She got played by Parker. Sure, she thinks she did good in the test in the psych class, and she's better than
I need to ask Xander, the least successful out of all of us.
But he's banged a Slayer and a demon.
Yeah.
He slept more people than her, or things than her.
Has he?
She's only been with one person.
Yeah.
Willow's only he's been with two.
He's been with one person and one demon.
Yeah. The demon counts for like
Well, she's a person now. When does a demon become a person?
Oh yeah, we can't even go down this road.
Yeah. But he's like, why don't you talk to him? And she's like, okay.
And he made out with Willow. So
he did make out with Willow, and he also had the fucking Inca mummy girl.
And he had Cordelia.
Yeah, Cordelia. Yeah, he was
dating her for a while.
He was at least getting some over the pants stuff with her.
Yeah, he was dating her for a solid minute. So
yeah, like half a season.
He's had some relationships besides, like, I mean, you're talking to Buffy, and she's like, can you breathe? Is he conscious?
Yeah, Xander's gotten around for like, oh, I'm a loser and I'm ugly and I'm a townie. It's like, dude, you're doing well.
When you're one of the main characters on a TV show, they're gonna throw you in a relationship.
Yeah. So then we go to Oz, and he is fortifying his cage. He's got some kind of
he's welding.
Flying.
He's welding. I was like, what the fuck? When did he learn how to do this?
Yeah. And
this
so he's like,
I got to bring this up. This is at a cemetery. Like,
yeah.
Does he own this plot? Did he buy this thing? Like, during the day, cemeteries have groundskeepers and stuff. Like, they have maintenance going on. Did he just, like, he's welding.
Did he, like, get a job like
know.
at the cemetery?
Yeah.
But yeah. So he's welding, and he's looking real concerned. He's like, that should do it. I'm going to not break out of this tonight. And then Buffy shows up, and she's like, hey, what's going on, Oz? And he's like, oh, I'm just fortifying this because, and Buffy's like, because you got out last night. And he's like, yeah. And she's like, well, it's interesting that you did get out because I actually heard from my professor that there was, she was almost attacked by 2 werewolves. Do you know anything about that?
2 wild hogs.
2 tortoises.
Hairy tortoises.
So you know anything about that? Because I know that you're a werewolf. You know any other werewolves? And he's like, honestly, when I fucking go into Werewolf Town, I black out and I don't remember anything. Why wouldn't you tell Buffy?
Yeah, well, Buffy mentions, I think at the end of this, like, she's going to go try and track down the other one.
Yeah, she's like, well, I'm going to go werewolf hunting tonight if you're not.
I think he has feelings. I think he has feelings of, like, the bonding of hey, she's a werewolf like me. Maybe I can help her, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So Buffy's like, well, while you're locked up in this cage that you're fortifying right now with your intense welding skills, I'm going to be out werewolf hunting. And Oz is like, that's a good idea. And then Buffy is like, hey, Oz, are you okay? You're being a bit more monosyllabic than usual. And I was like, Buffy would not know that word.
Sometimes they give Buffy words that you just know the writers are like, oh, I want to say this because it sounds good. And Buffy would not.
Yeah.
And she's like quoting poetry sometimes. And you're just like, no.
Yeah. But Oz is like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just going through quite a bit right now. I got a lot of shit going on. And Buffy's like, all right, well, hopefully I don't have to kill you tonight. So then we have a Veruca's band sad song montage going on. And
this montage, I kind of drifted out when this montage started and then drifted back in.
I think this is actually when I started Shazamming the song.
Okay.
And And, you know, we got Oz, like, pacing in his cage, kind of like, oh, what am I going to do? We got Willow at her Wicca group, and she's looking out the window, not paying attention to anything the Wicca group's going on. And then Veruca just singing. And then so Veruca shows up to Oz's cage just as he's about to close it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, look at you. This is where your cage is, huh? It's like, dude, this is such an easily findable fucking thing that Veruca just...
Well, she can smell.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, so this is where the domesticated little puppy dog stays. Why don't you get out of there? Be free. Be wild at heart like me. And Oz is like, you know, I can't do that, Veruca. And she's like, no, you can. Let's just fucking roam the world and kill and fuck and be wild animals. And Oz is like, Veruca, come in this cage with me. And she's like, I don't want to be in the cage. And Oz is like, it's for our own good. We need to be in this cage, dude. And Veruca's like, no, you can't do it. You just want to be in the cage with me so we can bang again. And then Oz is like, grabs her and smooches her, pulls her into the cage with him, locks the door. And I was like, that is either a good ploy for tricking her to come into the cage with him so that he can keep everybody safe. Mm-hmm. Or he just wanted to bang her and he's giving into his animal instincts as the sun is setting. I think it's the first.
It's a good ploy. I think the ploy is to save people by keeping her in the cage. But the animal instinct and attraction to her is definitely there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it.
He's having his cake and eating it too.
I know. If you think about it, it's like, wait, 3 days a month, I have weird blackout werewolf sex with this lady. And then the rest of the time, I'm like in a stupid band and I'm hanging out with Willow.
Stupid band? The dingoes.
He's barely playing.
Yeah. So yeah, he pulls her in and locks the door behind him. And then it's the next day. It's the morning. They wake up. They're both fully nude. Willow walks in and she's got like a bucket.
It looked like it was like a coffee mug container thing and like some food. I wasn't really paying full attention. I just noticed when she drops one of the things, it's clearly empty.
Yeah. She like walks down the crypt and she sees Veruca and Oz.
Maybe she has clothes for him or something.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as I said it.
Yeah. Does he not take off his clothes beforehand?
He took off his clothes the first time in the cage we saw him.
Yeah, he had the towel because like in the library cage.
No, I'm saying in this episode, he takes off his shirt as he gets into the cage the first time.
This made me think back to when they used to lock him up in library jail.
Yeah.
He couldn't break out of that cage.
Well, library jail was much more fortified than this.
Reinforced steel.
Yeah. But anyway, Willow sees Oz and Veruca laying naked together, and Oz is like, Willow, no. And Willow's like, Oz, how could you do this? How could you do this to me? And Veruca's like, what about it? This is what Oz really is. And Oz is like, shut the fuck up and get out of here.
It's something about like, I did it to save her. And then Veruca's like, well, he's like, oh, it's a werewolf thing. I'm not attracted, yada, yada. And then he says something. And then Veruca's like, she's got a point there. And he's like, get out. Like, I mean, the loudest I've ever heard scream.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, leave. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Because I think it's when Willow says, like, you had attraction to her before this, though. And then Veruca's like, I mean.
Yeah. And like an opportunity to tell me that this happened.
Yeah.
Because I asked you.
And that's where Oz fucked up.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where Oz fucked up.
Yep.
You know, we were talking about like how Oz is a perfect character, and I feel like everybody listening was like, just wait one more episode.
I will say
just wait two more episodes.
I think you were more on the he's a perfect character than I was. I was saying that he hasn't been tested morally yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a moral flaw test.
A moral quandary.
But no one's perfect, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Don't put your characters on a pedestal because they'll just hurt you. They'll just hurt you.
But yeah, Oz is, you know, explaining to Willow, like, I didn't have a choice. I had to lock her in here to keep everybody safe. And Willow's like, you could have told me. And he's like, yeah, I guess I could have, but I didn't because I knew you were going to freak out. And Willow's like, well, yeah, now I'm really freaking out because you blindsided me with this. And I didn't think that this was going to happen. But I also kind of suspected that you were trying to fuck Veruca. And now I wake up, I come over here and I see you naked with her. And like, it's kind of like, yeah, dude, you kind of betrayed me. And he's like, yeah, but I was trying to keep the town safe.
And he was also trying to save Veruca from Buffy. Because Buffy was like, I'm going to
fucking kill some werewolves.
Yeah. And it better not be you because I can't tell the difference of these wild squirrels looking, these giant squirrels.
Giant squirrels. But I mean, Oz has so many good points, except that he just didn't tell Willow the plan.
Yeah, and that's always the case in real life and in TV shows.
Yeah. And Willow is all hurt. And it eventually gets to the point of like, is this payback because like I cheated on you? Because Oz says something about like, Willow's like, I don't understand. And Oz is like, I mean, you kind of should understand because you kind of, you did the same thing to me. And Willow's like, oh, so is this payback? Is this like you getting your revenge on me? Is that what you wanted? And I was like, well, no. I'm just saying, like, don't act like you don't know what this is.
And then she brings up, like, this is completely different. One, she brings up, I thought we were past that. Mm-hmm. And then two, which they're so far past that. Like, Xander hangs out with them all the time. And then two, it's like, this is way different.
Yeah. And Oz is like, all right.
Yeah, he's like, that's right. He's like, yeah. Because I'm happy they brought it up. You have to at least bring it up.
Yeah. So, well, then Oz is like, look, it's just because she's a werewolf and like I only wanted her in like a primal, like animalistic werewolf way. And then Willow's like, but you also wanted her when you're not a werewolf though too. And then Oz is like kind of stunned silence and Willow's like, yeah, dude. And then so she gets up and she leaves and Oz is like, fuck.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, you have animal attraction towards her, but do you have animal attraction towards me? It's like, no, you're Willow.
Yeah, you're a gummy bear. You see what you wore yesterday? Are you kidding me?
I am happy they didn't have it be like this crazy thing where Oz is werewolfy and he starts being really mean to Willow.
Yeah. Oz is trying to logic his way out of it, but
he's still being Oz. Like, it's a lot going on.
Yeah,
he did not think further enough through with the fact that like she normally comes to let him out of the cage. Yeah, like, she doesn't have to let him out of the cage because he lets himself out.
He lets himself out every once in a while.
But she was gonna she wasn't gonna go to the wicked thing because she had to she's like, oh, I can lock myself up. Like, yeah, you can. Of course you can lock yourself up. You figured out a whole new system.
Yeah. But anyway, so then Willow leaves and she's doing a sad walk through the city and she's getting shoulder bumped by people. And then she just kind of meanders into the middle of the street and a car's coming. It's like, and Buffy sees her from like 2 streets away. She's like, Willow, starts running. And the car's about to hit Willow. And who saves her but Riley, the TA.
I love in this show when someone's about to get hit by a car, it feels like the car speeds up. Like the first season or so when Cordelia was about to get hit by that truck when she's blinded. And it's like, hey, she's in the middle of the street. Yeah. It's like no attempt to hit the brakes from that car. The car doesn't like stop down the road later. It's just like speed through.
Yeah.
And this is a resident. Like this is a
busy like little shopping center area. Yeah. It's like around where the movie theater and the espresso pump is. Like the speed limit can't be more than like 35.
Yeah. It's usually the car's just like, oh yeah, people walking. You could see this woman slowly drifting into the street. All right.
Well, it's not even like they had texting and driving back then either. Like there's no excuse for this.
Maybe they're swapping out a CD,
Oh, true. Very true.
Yeah. And just hitting the gas.
But Riley saves her. Buffy runs up and she's like, oh, thanks for saving her. I wouldn't have made it. It's like, Riley's like, okay.
It's a really awkward seemingly, it's not unnecessary. It shows her state of mind, but
Well,
it's
this is awkward.
it's really just set up. It's really just set up.
Well, what's awkward
the next stuff
is Riley like grabs her and he's like Willow's looking sad still, and Riley like grabbed her by the shoulder. He's like, "Whatever you're going through, it's not worth dying over."
Yeah.
Like,
what? And then the next scene is all about like, hey, you don't have to hurt yourself, Willow, for this.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I don't think she was like literally going like suicidal or starting to cut herself from this. It was like she was in a fugue state.
Yeah, I didn't think that it was like, I'm just going to walk out into traffic and hopefully I get hit by a car.
Yeah.
I took it as like she's just so sad she doesn't even realize like what's going on around her.
You know, like your mind is somewhere else and you're not paying attention. Not like this girl is damaging.
Yeah.
But they really kind of force that so that this later thing can happen.
Yeah, so Buffy like takes Willow back to the dorm and she's like, I promise I'm going to find Veruca before sunset and I'm going to figure all this out. And then she gives her the speech like, don't hurt yourself, Willow. And Willow's like, oh, what if I wanna? And Buffy's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't you do it. And Willow's like, okay, I'm not gonna.
She's like, put the blame where it belongs.
Yeah.
And then Willow's like, put the blame where it belongs. I know what I'll do.
I'm going to go over to my spells chest.
I'm going to go over to the laboratory. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are at the end of this.
Yeah, me neither. It looked like the high school
lab.
science lab.
Yeah. Because that's where they keep all the witchcraft stuff too.
Yeah. So Buffy goes over to Oz's apartment and Oz is like feverishly calling people, like trying to find where Veruca is
Did you notice that there's a chocolate poster on Willow's door?
Yeah. Because Buffy says something about like, I'll get you something chocolatey that like will help you get through this. And then there's like a chocolate poster.
Yeah. Like that's an obsession.
Yeah. So yeah, Oz is calling to try and figure out where Veruca is. Buffy shows up and she's like, you find her? And Oz is like, no, I'm trying to find out where she is. And Oz is like, Buffy, look, let me try to explain what happened. Buffy's like, I don't want to hear it, Oz. Let's just fucking find Veruca. Why don't you be more like your regular self and be less talky, more walky.
Now that's Buffy.
Yeah. And so Oz is like,
monosyllabic.
Yeah.
You're being too verbose, Oz.
Yeah. So Willow goes to the science lab and she starts casting a spell about, she wants Oz and Veruca's hearts to be broken and she doesn't want them to find love, solace, or peace. And I was like, damn, dude.
Like they're just banging right now. Like
yeah, they're banging in a fucking animal state.
Yeah. This has had nothing to do with love.
So Buffy and Oz are on the hunt. Oz is like, I can trace her with her scent, and I can smell her. And so he's like, she's over here, this way. And then so they finally catch up to where they think she is, and it's just her corset and her clothes.
And Buffy has the trank gun too.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, this must have been like where she left her clothes when she turned into a werewolf. And Buffy's like, or it could be she's setting us up. And then they look at each other like, Willow, no.
Yeah, they kind of make this reveal twice. It's a weird staging where she gets there and she's like, oh, she led you away. And then he's like, no, this is where she changed. And then she's like, or is it? It's like they do it twice. I'm like, why? Just let it be the first one.
So then we go back to Willow casting the spell. And then we go back to Oz and Buffy, and they start running towards wherever Willow is. And this is where Buffy runs into one of the gun guys. And they run into each other, and the gun guy tries to like grab Buffy's gun, and Buffy punches that guy and then grabs her.
It's weird because we're intercut here between the witch spell and then Buffy running. And she runs into the guy, they fall over. And it's like a comedy mix-up. We're like, oh, that's your gun, my gun? Oh, yeah. And then they get up and they run opposite directions. They don't say anything. I would have some questions if I was like running into a guy with a fucking like AK-47. Yeah, and you've run into these people before on campus during Halloween, and you're like, wait, this is real? And she's like, go shoot up the school. I got a werewolf.
I got bigger fish to fry. My friend is my one friend is in danger, as opposed to whoever you're going to shoot.
Yeah.
So Willow's finishing up the spell, and it's the last part. And in order for the spell to happen, she needs to burn a picture of Oz. And she looks at the picture of Oz, and she's like, he's so pretty.
Oz's headshot.
Yeah. She's like, oh, this guy is so handsome.
Why is it not like one of those classic, those photos without the edge around it? Just like a regular photo of like them at a party together, or like him posing, like not making a face somewhere in the bronze. Like it's not one of those college-y pictures. It's
legit. It's his headshot.
Yeah.
But Willow's like, I can't fucking do it. She throws the picture down, and then like a beaker breaks.
Yeah, the beakers are like, we have some of that leftover colored liquid from the last episode. And it's in the beakers that are like hovering for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were hovering until it broke.
And then she's like, oh, spell over. And it's like, oh, and then the beakers fall and break.
Yeah, and then Veruca comes in. She's like, couldn't do it, could ya? And then she locks the door behind her, and she's like, guess what?
Shock of her being a witch at all.
Yeah, right?
Veruca's like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Couldn't go through with it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I can go through with it because I'm a fucking wolf. I'm a werewolf. I'm an animal motherfucker. And what do animals do? They kill people. And guess what, Willow? It's almost sunset. And she locks the door, and Willow's just like...
And I was just like, Willow, it's not sunset yet. Shoot pencils at her. Grab something in the room. Girl fight. Like, fight it out. Like, you've been in dangerous situations. You had Faith pull a knife out on you.
Yeah.
With an invincible mare, and you didn't care. Like, you worried about this? You worried about this bitch?
But she wasn't heartbroken at that point, Vance. She didn't have her little heart broken.
Her heartbrokenness turned her into like evil witch master right there.
Yeah, it was scary. I was like, what is she doing? Like
This is the problem. Like if you're dating a witch, like Willow, like you can't cross slayers and witches and werewolves. Like,
yeah, man,
they don't handle heartbreak and betrayal well.
But yeah, so Veruca starts taunting Willow like, I fucked your boyfriend. And then she punches Willow, and Willow goes flying across the room.
Punched the shit out of her.
Yeah. She backhand punched her.
Yeah. She went flying across the room.
And then Oz shows up, and he's like, get your filthy, dirty mitts off of her. And he starts fighting Veruca. And as they're doing this, you could see the green screen change happening.
Yeah.
And so they slowly start turning into werewolves. And Veruca's like, come on, you want to be with me. And Oz is like, I can't. I don't love you. I love her. And then they turn into werewolves, and then they start fighting. And Oz very, very easily disposes of Veruca. Like, he kills the shit out of her.
It's like, it's literally just like, it's just like this furry Maddie. Like, first they fight when they're like kind of in the middle change.
Yeah.
And then it's a really good edit where they like get hit off screen and they slide in, and they're like fully into their like mangy muskrat selves. And like, then they start going at it. And then
they go full raccoon.
Yeah, they go full raccoon. And then he just kills her. He just bites her neck.
Yeah, goes right for the jugular.
Yeah.
And he was doing some kind of like weird Brazilian jiu-jitsu like scramble with her. Like, he was like on her back and like rotating around. I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
But he fucking kills her, and Willow sees it all happen. Mm-hmm. And she's like, wow, that was a little intense. And then he's
it's not the first time he's chased her.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's all bloody mouthed. Mm-hmm. And he gets up from killing Veruca, and then he looks over at Willow, and he's like, and Willow's like, Oz, Oz. And it's like, dude, he's done this to you so many times.
So many times. You've run from him the first time he turned into a werewolf, the time when he broke out of the cage.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
this is just part of your life now.
She starts to like try and do like the guy from Jurassic World with the raptors. She's like, Oz down.
Yeah, the hand out.
Yeah. And And as I was watching him like kill the lady
Mm-hmm.
and then start to go for her, my first thought was like, Willow, how did you not expect this to happen eventually? Like, how is this a surprise to you? Like, this was going to happen.
Willow is so okay with dating someone that turns into a werewolf.
Yeah.
And at least with turning into a werewolf, unlike being a vampire, you are somewhat normal those 27 days.
Mm-hmm.
But like this, you need like backup situations for.
Yeah, you need redundancy, dude.
Yes. That's what the dude that had the hellhounds had.
Yeah.
He had a redundancy plan. He had other ones in another room. He had like, yeah.
Yeah. But like, I was just watching this and she's like, Oz, why would you? It's like, how do you not think that this would happen eventually? Like, you can't be surprised by this.
On a micro level, she should have tried to get out of that room while they were fighting.
Yeah. She should have tried to like do anything. She was just sitting there. But I mean, she did get like tossed across the room. Maybe she's like,
as long as your eyes are open, you're still able to move.
Okay. But Oz starts to go for her and he jumps at her, lunges towards her, and just as he's about to get to her, Buffy grabs his little monkey tail, fucking he throws him across the room, and he's like, rah, 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 and then Buffy tranks him, and he's like,
I mean, it's always worth it because you know he's going to get tranquilized by that trank gun. It just keeps coming back.
Yeah. And then so after she tranks him, she goes over to Willow and she's like, everything's going to be okay, little baby. Everything's fine.
Willow's crying her eyes out.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure what level she's crying about at this point. Like, there's so much happening. Is she crying about the infidelity? Is she crying about watching him kill Veruca in front of someone?
Mm-hmm.
And this is happening inside the school.
Inside the school. And then it's also like one of those things about like, that's the end of Veruca's band.
End of Veruca's band. I don't know how you explain this dirty gorilla creature because I don't know if they change back after they die. I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse: walking in and finding a werewolf creature in the school, or finding Veruca with her neck slashed open.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And how do they get Oz out of there? You put him in a bag, and the two of them drag him down the hallway.
I guess so.
like I don't know. Like the logistics of how they get out of this without like multiple questions. Oz blew that door off the hinges when he came in.
Yeah, man.
Like, so someone should have been walking into that room like, hey, what's going on in the chemistry lab?
Yeah, is there no night janitor? Like, it just became sunset. Like,
yeah,
it just.
Yeah. Like, school classes are still happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's night classes.
Yeah, classes don't end at like, yeah.
I know, because I went to some night classes. Like, I went to classes that started at 7 p.m.
And the school is just not empty right now.
Yeah,
but
dude,
yeah,
like
minor stuff, but just things.
You know what?
About. Just
Vance,
interesting, fun stuff to talk about.
Vance,
it doesn't take me out of the episode.
You gotta let these oddities go. You gotta let them go, Vance.
It doesn't take the episode down a notch. It's just something that's fun to talk about.
Yep.
It is fun to figure out logistics. You know what's funny? Because we talk about the logistics of like the murders and the deaths and stuff, and then the show will bring it up.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, oh yeah, we knew about all the deaths and murders. We're like, yeah, that's why we're talking about it. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like just thinking about like the logistics of anything, like the purge or whatever. Like what's going to be the next day after the purge? Like there's dead bodies everywhere.
We're completely watching it with the illusion of
suspension
of disbelief. But now we're talking about it, so you start thinking. Yeah, that's all. We like the show.
Yeah, we love the show.
Yeah.
Buffy comforts Willow, and we also are Love and Angel. Subscribe to our Patreon. So then Buffy is with Giles at Giles's apartment. They're sitting there sipping on some tea, and she's like, "Yeah, so that was the end of the werewolf story." But anyway,
how's Willow doing? She'll be fine. Whatever.
She'll be fine. Whatever. This shit happens. But I ran into this gun guy in the woods. And I saw them also on Halloween, but I thought it was just like part of their Halloween costumes, but apparently not. And Giles was like, well, keep an eye on that. And Buffy's like, yeah, okay, I will. And also Willow's sad.
And she also has a reference of like, oh, when she's talking about Willow's being sad, she's like, I don't know. Last time I was like this, I went to hell. I ran away and went to hell.
Yeah. And Giles, she's like, I don't think I'm the best model for getting over stuff. And Giles is like, good point.
I just flaming back tried to hit your boyfriend in the face after he killed my girl. But, whatever. All of us are different.
I feel like you guys are all forgetting that my girlfriend was murdered by your boyfriend.
The one you gave the invincible ring to?
Yeah, I remember that. Remember that?
Oh,
Buffy?
it happened. I don't know where it happened, but I know I found her body upstairs.
It was literally 12 feet above where we are right now.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? Anyway, go on.
Her boyfriend just killed another werewolf and hooked up with that hot musician.
Yeah, good on him. Yeah, I wish I could hook up with a hot lady. Huh?
Giles was like, damn it, I was just liking that band.
Yeah. I just bought their album. I wanted to get it signed. So yeah, then Willow's depressed and she goes over to Oz's apartment to talk with him, and Oz is cleaning out his closet.
Yeah, does Oz live in the dorms or his apartment? Like, what does he live in?
It looks like an off-campus apartment.
Okay.
It looks like it's in Koreatown, to be honest with you.
Oh, like when they go outside?
Yeah, when he starts driving away, it legitimately looks like Koreatown in Los Angeles. But Willow shows up and Oz is packing up a suitcase and she's like, what is this? Like, you're just going to leave? And Oz is like, I mean, I was thinking about it, yeah. And she's like, why would you do that? And he's like, Veruca said some shit that really fucked with my head. I can't really distinguish what's me and what's the wolf anymore. I've got two things living inside of me, and I don't know where myself ends and where the wolf starts, and I don't know where the wolf starts and where I end. And I'm just going to leave, get away from people. And Willow's like, bro, there's people everywhere. He's like, I'll figure something out. I just can't be around you anymore. I don't want to hurt you. And Willow's like, just like that? But don't you love me? And I was like, you fucking manipulative. That's such a manipulation tactic. It's so fucking rude. Like, your boyfriend murdered someone in front of you, and she's like, but don't you love me? It's dude.
It's one of those weird things where, like, Willow comes in, and I'm like, are you not mad anymore?
Yeah.
Like
I think it was like she was mad. She came to give him, like, a piece of her mind and, like, talk it out with him. Yeah. But then she saw he was packing up. She's like, wait, I'm not going to get my satisfaction of yelling at you.
And he comes, she's like, I'm leaving. She's like, don't I get a say in this? And he's like, no. And I was like, good on you, Oz. Because, I mean, you guys are dating, but she doesn't get full say over it. Like, it's not like you guys are married and have kids together and you have to, like, hey, this affects, like, he's like, no, I'm leaving. And yeah.
It's like, for your own good. Like, I'm a murderous fucking animal. It's 3 nights out of the month.
Willow, do you mind if I leave? Like, no. He's like, I gotta do this. So,
well, dude, like,
and I know it hurts for her. Like, I'm not knocking that. And and she's got all the feels. She's crying the whole scene.
Dude, she is crying her eyes out in this fucking. She's really.
We said this was about Oz's acting, but man, they had Allison Hannigan going for it here.
Well, it's like she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation, and Oz seems to, because, like, remember in Fear itself when he started changing and she's like, Oz, stay with me, don't leave me. And he's like, I am turning into a fucking werewolf right now.
Yeah.
I need to get away from you.
Yeah. Like, he knows he hurts. He has a real moral center of, like, I don't want to hurt people. Yeah. Which is, a lot of people have that. Yeah. And he just, like, does not, especially, like, he would not be able to live with himself if he turned into a werewolf and killed Willow, which he almost did for the third time.
Yeah.
So I get that part, but I wanted to bring up, because she brings up a very valid point. Where are you going to go? Yeah. This is kind of like Dexter running away. You're a serial killer and you're going to go run away, but people are everywhere. Yeah. Why?
And he's like, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
And I was just like, that's so, like, the end of the episode really is he goes outside. She's crying. He gets in his van.
He's crying a little bit.
We cut back to her just still standing in his room crying. And he didn't pack up the whole place. He's got a giant van. He just takes one duffel bag.
Yeah.
His
like
whole
one
place,
of those giant, like, military duffel bags.
It's not even that big. Like, it should have been like a couple boxes in that van. You know, if you're going, one, I don't think he has money.
Yeah.
Two, I feel like I don't know where he's going.
You know what I was thinking while I was watching this? How is he paying for school?
His parents probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got student loans.
I don't know. Who knows? Like, it's definitely cheaper than wherever he was actually going to go. I'm sure they got full scholarships. Those guys are so much smarter than everyone else. Like, it should be like a privilege to just have them there. They were the two people that were going to get like automatic tech jobs before they didn't even need to go to college.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, then they cut to her upstairs and they cut back to him in a van. And I was just really hoping that the people with guns kidnapped him.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
I was like, where's he going?
Yeah. I thought so. Like, they kept showing him in the van, like in the driver's seat, and I could have swore like Veruca was going to be in the back of the van and like grab him or something. Not like grab him, but like, let's go, honey. Like it's time to go off into our werewolf adventures or something.
You didn't think he killed her from the scene before?
Dude, I don't know. Dude, I thought that fucking Angel was dead for well, I didn't think Angel was dead, but like,
no way he did.
You know what I mean? Like, no, is anybody really dead?
I think if he could, I mean, that would have been okay if they established that he could remember stuff when he was a werewolf and he faked her dying. But then I don't know like how he would have faked getting shot by a tranquilizer and like hiding her body.
But like he does a thing where he's like turns on the car and he's like, should I really be doing this? Mm-hmm. And then he looks back at the apartment. We go back to Willow bawling her eyes out and he's like, I need to do this. And he fucking drives away.
Where do you think he's going? Besides Los Angeles.
Oh, you think he's going to Angel?
He's like, I got to go to a place that's more populated.
I think he's just going in the middle of nowhere. He's going to Burning Man.
Like,
he's going to Coachella.
Like, I don't think his logic is to leave like, I don't know why on the show they want him to leave. Like, I think he has to go somewhere and meet up with other werewolves. I think there needs to be, because here's the thing, werewolves exist in a way that's bigger in this world, where there's a guy that hunts werewolves. Yes. His cousin bit him and turned out to be a werewolf, and his parents were like, oh yeah, werewolves exist. Like, yeah, it's a bigger thing. He should like try to figure out like how Willow's in a Wicca club. He should try to find a werewolf club where they can all just talk about like, oh, how do you lock yourselves up at night? Yeah, like a pacifist werewolf club. Yeah, because I feel like Veruca stuff didn't even make sense. She just runs rabid on campus 3 nights a month. Yeah, dude, she would get killed so fast. She would get killed or killed just a bunch of people, and it would be like this thing that people talked about. Yeah. Yeah, it would be. Well, I mean, the whole fucking Sunnydale High exploded because there was a gigantic demon and no one talks about that. Like, you think one werewolf attack is going to be talked about? True. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Fair enough. But is that the point of werewolves, though? That they just kill and eat people? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that all they do? Yeah, they don't have they don't build houses. No, I mean, they don't like... I mean, they turn into a werewolf. They don't like run around and howl at the moon. They just literally turn into a werewolf, kill as many people as you can, and then wake up. I guess so. All right. I don't know. I mean, I never watched the Twilight movie, so I don't know if they had more of a deeper, if the Lycans had a deeper thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, every piece of werewolf media that I've ever seen, it is like they turn into werewolves and just start killing people. Yeah. So maybe that is. Yeah. I think that the werewolf lore in this is more consistent than the vampire lore. Well, so far you turn into a werewolf and you kill people, and except for the look. Yeah, that's true. They get what a werewolf looks like. They're nailing werewolves except for what werewolves look like. Yeah. All right, well, that's the end of the episode. You got anything else to say about this one before we wrap it up there, Vance? No, I'm good. All right, the next episode is titled The Initiative. What do we think is going to happen here? We're going to find out about the gun people. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a secret organization.
Yeah, this seems like maybe this might be like where Spike actually returns and he's kind of like being kidnapped, and they start to talk about their plans and stuff to Spike, and then Spike is like, I gotta get the help of Buffy by the end of the episode, and then it's like that's how they team up, and that's maybe where the romance starts forming.
Maybe. I would say the other option for this would be some type of pledge situation, but we don't really have anybody.
Maybe it's more
pledging.
it's more of like Willow being pledged into the Wicca group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
could be hey,
another play. Yeah.
If you want to be in our Wicca group, you have to do X, Y, and Z spells or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like those are solid predictions.
Yeah. I would love for it to be something completely different.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, we were pretty spot on with this one.
Yeah.
But it was good.
A low hanging fruit. Yeah.
It was nice to be right, like pretty spot on right every once in a while.
Yeah.
But that is it for Wild at Heart, everybody. Thank you for listening. If you would like to join our Discord, we have a bunch of lively conversations, not just about Buffy, but about a bunch of other stuff. But mostly about Buffy and Angel and stuff like that. If you would love to join our Patreon, we have a Patreon, links in the show notes. But if you don't feel like looking in the show notes, because nobody ever does, it's patreon.com/Boys Watching Buffy. Got a couple different tiers on there. You can check it out and listen to our Patreon exclusive podcast, Boys Watching Angel. Hear our review of The Menu. If you would please follow the Instagram at Boys Watching Buffy. If you want to email in, it's boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com. And that is a wrap for Wild at Heart. Stay tuned next time for when we talk about The Initiative.
I was attacked by wild dogs last night.
Wild dogs?
2 of them.
Biggest things I've ever seen. The first one was, well, for a moment I thought it was a gorilla.
Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.